All right, so the amount of documentation that goes into this is humongous. You're just going to have to start reading. I can't give you like a book that goes into this. This is from what I've researched over time. So we have an evolution in the position of Mary within the church over time. If you go to the first century documents outside of the Bible, this would be like the Didache and the Epistle of Barnabas. Mary's not even mentioned in there. The Didache has instructions for the church. There are no instructions on venerating Mary or anything like that in the first century church. You come on, you start getting heresies like the heresy of Nestorianism, where like Nestorians claim that Jesus is just a human being and the Son of God entered the body of Jesus at the baptism of John. But again, that right there is a heresy, and to combat that heresy, the church decided we need to start emphasizing that he is both fully human and fully God, and the two natures are in a hypostatic union. And so they started calling Mary the Theotokos, the God-bearer, because the Nestorians were calling Mary the Christokos, the Christ-bearer. Both terms are correct in what they mean, but when the Nestorians were calling her the Christokos, they were meaning that she only bore the human man Jesus, and God was never inside of her womb, inside of the body of Jesus. So they started calling her the Theotokos to indicate that she bore God, which means carried God in her womb and gave birth to Jesus, who is both God and human being. Later on, what we see going on is that the church started calling her the Mother of God, which is a technically correct term. The issue with that is to start showing that Mary is the origin of God. We're going to be confused to say that she is the origin of God, which means she would predate Jesus, the Son of God, which is not the case at all. Now, as time goes on, she gets elevated to the Queen of Heaven. So her position keeps getting increased. And today she's now like the co-redeemer with Jesus and all these other things right here. She is far beyond, way up here today, whereas the early church, she was just down here, not even really mentioned or talked about, definitely wasn't venerated or anything like that in the first century church. But due to fighting heresy, the church elevated her a little bit, and then it just took off and just kept getting elevated, but it all started combating heresy. And again, the number of documents you need to read are numerous. You need to go back to the first century to start reading, and just keep coming forward in time through all the different documents written by various people over the years from the church, and you'll come to the same conclusion.